Whenever we use the word Christmas, we're actually saying something theologically really profound. The word Christmas is made up of two words, Christ and Mass. Now the word Mass has come to mean, through the Catholic tradition, the celebration of the Eucharist, the sacramental delight in God. And whilst it does mean that, there's actually another layer to it. The word Mass comes from the Latin missa. And at the end of the liturgy, the Catholic liturgy, there is the Missa moment, which is the sending. And it's this moment which consolidates all that has happened before, and the congregation are sent by the priest as a result of delighting in the Eucharist. Now we might come to think, well, the sending means that we're being sent out into the world, sending out to our neighbour and into our communities with this grace that we've received. But actually the intention of the word is describing us being sent Godward. We're being sent towards God through our participation in the sacraments. So the celebration of Mass sends us into His presence and then sends us into the world as we have enjoyed His presence. The word Christ comes from the words in the Greek for the anointed, or the anointed one, which comes from the Hebrew Messiah, the anointed one. In Luke chapter 4, Jesus confirms His messianic role, His anointedness, when we're told in Luke 4 that He takes the scroll in the synagogue and He reads from the prophet Isaiah, where He says, "The Spirit of the Lord is upon me, for He has anointed me." Now the word means to be poured, the presence to be poured over Him like oil, holy oil. That the Spirit of the Lord has been poured over Him to proclaim good news to the poor, to proclaim freedom for prisoners, to proclaim sight for the blind, release of the oppressed, and the year of the Lord's favour. So if we take these things, it's really the radical and bountiful restructuring of our social, relational, spiritual, economic and physical realities, all of which now come into the favour of the Lord. So when we use the word Christmas, we're not just talking about the beautiful events of Bethlehem or the wonderful season that we get to enjoy together around family and food. What we're actually saying is that God has sent His anointed one to reconstruct everything around His grace and His highest purposes. And as we affirm that, and as we delight in that, and as we are drawn into that truth, we, in a sacramental way, are then being sent into God's presence. We're being beckoned and brought into God's presence, and then even beyond that, into the world. So theologically, when we wish each other Merry Christmas, we're saying something really profound. We're doing some deep ministry as we bless each other with the presence of God, sending each other into God's presence, sending each other into the world with God's presence to become a sacramental influence, a sacramental presence in the world in the name of our Lord. So it's not just about great food and some gifts and Michael Bublé's latest album. It's about God's kindness being demonstrated in His self-giving and sending our lives into Him and sending our lives into the world in His name. So, with that said, Merry Christmas, and I will see you again at the beginning of January sometime. I'm going to take a little break, and I'll see you again in the new year. Stay safe, stay warm, stay healthy, and until next time, peace.